Right. I'm going to crack on because, yeah, I know, at
Okay,
least I know that everybody else can see you. It's just
see.
me. Right. Okay. So for anyone who has stuck with us for this live, I am Sharon. I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma 4 years ago, and since then I have been making it my mission to help spread awareness and spread education for all cancers because it's such a taboo subject, doesn't get talked about enough, and we need to talk more about it. So that's why I started Unbreakable Voices, and I've been blessed to have amazing, amazing women on. And today we finally have the amazing
Yay.
Louise on. So, Louise, if you can tell me a bit about yourself and what life looks like before your cancer diagnosis.
Yeah, thanks Sharon for having me on and sticking with me. Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, before cancer, so I was diagnosed with lobular breast cancer, which was 3 years ago now. And before that, I struggled with my mental health. I had anxiety, health anxiety, eating disorder, lots of stuff, and then realised that I'm ADHD because my kids have been diagnosed, and it's all to do with the OCDs and all the stuff going on in your head. Anyway,
Mm,
I'd started running to manage my symptoms of health anxiety and ADHD and things like that. Um, and I'd gone for a mammogram just for peace of mind. It wasn't, there were no symptoms or anything like that. And the mammogram
mm,
came back clear. And because the mammogram was clear, I was like, oh, I can have a really good self check because I was always scared. I did do self checks, but I was scared of finding
mm.
anything. So I never really did them probably as good as I should have. And then
Yeah.
I did it 3 weeks after the mammogram in the shower and found like a tiny little, it wasn't like a lump, it was like a thickening. It was tiny on my
Okay.
left breast, on the left side. And the doctor thought it was nothing, but they sent me to the breast clinic because of my anxieties. And then they found 5 areas that were abnormal on the ultrasound, not the mammogram. And then it turned out 2 weeks later, when the results came in, that it was lobular breast cancer. And then when they took the breast off, there was 5 centimeters of
Wow.
cancer right near the chest wall. Um, so near that they thought it would spread into the chest wall, but it hadn't. But yeah, so that was a massive shock. And then I found out lobular is the second most common form of breast cancer, although hardly anyone's heard of it. Is really, it weaves in and out. It grows in lines, little lines and lumps and lines. So it's not seen on mammograms.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not seen until it's quite large because it doesn't have like the protein that sticks it together, like ductal cancer forms a lump and the
Yeah.
mass is seen on a mammogram because of the light. It doesn't have the glue, so it just grows outwards. Isn't that weird?
Blimey. That's really
Yeah.
weird. I've never heard of that before.
Oh, and that's like this. So I think ductal breast cancer is 85%, which is in the ducts, the milk ducts taking it to the nipple. And lobular
Mm.
is the lobules where the milk's made, and that's 15%, and it's the second most common.
Blimey. Yeah, I never knew that.
No, I didn't until I got it. And then when I did a lot of research, a lot of women had the same sort of um, things where they'd gone for a mammogram and it hadn't shown up. And then they'd found like puckering. So what happens when it gets large is it pulls in the skin. So it pulls in the nipple, pulls in the skin. And when you put your arm up, it puckers inwards. And then when they went for an ultrasound or an MRI, it doesn't even show up very well on MRIs. Um, they had like 10 centimeters of it.
That is insane. And that's a large amount.
Yeah, that's large. I mean, it doesn't mean necessarily because it's large that it's spread, because it, they do look at it like that, but some cancers grow large and don't spread. Some cancers grow a tiny amount and spread. So, but
Mm.
usually when it's grown, it has sort of gone on into the lymph nodes. Luckily, mine hadn't, um, so I didn't have to have chemo. But lobular is actually not usually, it doesn't. It's not very good with chemotherapy. It's more I'm on hormone blockers, so it grows with estrogen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've got no ovaries because I had them taken out
Right.
because I used to grow cysts. Luckily, not luckily, but I didn't have them anyway. But estrogen's still
Mm.
produced in like fat cells in your liver, so you have to take a hormone blocker, and that stops all the estrogen in your body so that the cancer can't grow back.
Right. Okay. So when you were diagnosed, what stage was you at?
So when I had all the surgeries and that, I was probably stage 2. They never told me a stage, but it was over 2 centimeters, so it was obviously stage 2. Hadn't spread, so I hadn't gone on to stage 3. So it was stage 2, but it was grade 2. So the grade, obviously, you know about grades. So like triple negative usually is grade 3, which is the most aggressive. Grade 1 is not very aggressive, and grade 2 is in the middle. So I was grade 2, stage 2.
Right. Because that's the thing with a lot of cancers. I mean, when I had I was never told a grade or a stage, or so I'm quite
Wow.
sort of naive when it comes to stages and grades
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
was never told. So it's quite interesting
You
to
were
sort of
never
hear.
told. Yeah. I mean,
Mm,
I researched it all, and just because I'm kind of one of those people that just can't leave stuff alone. So as
yeah.
soon as you tell me something, I'm on Google. So I'd researched everything. But yeah, I think yeah, so I was lucky. If you can call it lucky, it's lucky, isn't it, if you're alive?
Mm, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, so describe the words, the exact moment you heard the words, then you've got cancer. Like what went through your mind?
Oh, that was just, so I had the 2 week wait, and I thought that I'd be called into the office, where they tell you face to face. And I don't know, in my head, like the visions of like a Macmillan nurse or something sitting there, someone
Mm,
sat with you, but it wasn't like that. I got a phone call and I was on my own.
mm-hmm.
And when I got the phone call, I thought initially, before they said anything, I thought, oh, it must be all right, because they wouldn't just ring me up. And I'd been putting self tan on, and I don't wear self tan, but I think I'd felt so bad about myself that I was trying to look healthy. I just
Yeah.
perked myself up a bit, so I was putting self tan on. I was totally naked, and I was rubbing this self tan in, and I got the phone call, and I remember having the phone in my hand, and it was all sticky. And the breast cancer nurse said, "Oh, I think you've been waiting for this phone call." And I thought, oh God, she's going to say it's fine. And she went, "I'm
Mm,
sorry to say you've got breast cancer." And I think I went into shock because I didn't expect it to be on the phone. And I
no.
was just stood there naked. There was no one there. And the first thing I asked was, has it spread? Because that's all I cared about. Has it spread? But they can't tell you that at the time, can they? So she sort of said,
Mm,
no, I can't tell you that, but I can tell you it's lobular, it's grade 2. And then she said they'd be in touch. And I put the phone down, and I just went back upstairs and started rubbing the tan in, like as if I didn't actually understand what had just happened. And I
yeah.
was really careful, and I was rubbing it in, making sure, because I thought, oh my God, if I don't rub it in, it'll streak. I rubbed it in, and I just went into this weird world of, like, I'd been took out of this world and into another. And then I
Mm,
put my clothes on, went outside, and it felt like a blur, like it was like this sound was not there, and I wasn't there. And I walked around for about an hour, not really understanding what was going on. And then I rang my husband and told him to come home. And I told him then. And when I said I've got cancer, that's when it all hit me, I think.
that's the thing. It's such a surreal moment, isn't it? Because I
Yeah.
had the same. They told me on the phone, and it was
Did
just like,
they?
but
Wow.
they didn't even tell me though that it was cancer. They just said you've got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and then I got off the phone and had to Google what that was.
What that was. Wow. So you didn't even explain it to you. Were you on your own as well?
I was downstairs and my husband was upstairs. So then after I Googled
Wow.
it and found out I had cancer, I then went upstairs and burst into tears and told him.
Oh my God.
But it's just
Jeez.
awful that they don't get you to come in and,
No.
like you say, sit you down and,
Yeah.
break the
Because that's
news
what you
gently to
imagine
you.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what you imagine, isn't it? That's what I thought. I
absolutely.
thought, well, you sit down, there's someone there, um, you've got a family member there, but
Mm,
to handle that news on your own is, I think that's why you go into shock because you just think,
yeah.
no, that's not what the hell. Did you go into shock?
Yeah, it was such a surreal, like out of body experience. You just don't, it just doesn't feel like it's happening to you.
No, it doesn't. That's how I felt. Yeah.
Mm.
When you'd gone, had you'd waited for those results? Like, had you had symptoms?
No, I had no symptoms. I literally just had this patch in my eye, and then
Wow.
I had a biopsy. So I was waiting for the results from the biopsy. And then, yeah, they just called. And I nearly didn't even pick up because it said private number on my phone.
Wow. So you
And
didn't
then,
even have any, you just thought it was a patch in your eye and
yeah, yeah, no
wow.
symptoms. If I didn't have the patch in my eye, if it had been somewhere else, it could
Yeah.
have been a very different story because I'd literally had, yeah, no symptoms at all. It's
Wow.
just, and that's why I do this because I want people to realize that not every cancer or not every case is going to show symptoms, but you need to then know your body and know then when something looks a bit different to then actually get it checked out.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's amazing what you're doing. Because it's so
Mm.
true, isn't it? And what's really bizarre
Yeah.
about my story is that I had health anxiety for years, probably all my life, on and off. Um, and I was constantly checking my body, constantly, and there was never really anything wrong in that sense. But then
No.
when the health anxiety kind of was better because I had counselling for it, and then I got something in my boob, I wasn't worried. I was like, oh, it can't be because I'd had this clear mammogram, and I think women also
Mm.
put too much emphasis on the mammograms because
Mm.
obviously they don't show everything, and I think it's really
No.
important to the self check-in is so important.
But they don't even then, I mean, I don't know anyone to know that that the mammograms don't actually pick up breast cancer.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you
know.
just assume that this thing is going to then, if there's something there, it's going to show.
Yeah. And also, what was even more bizarre is when they went back to look at the mammogram and they knew where it was, and it's a lot of disease, 5 centimeters, they couldn't
Mm.
see it, even then when they knew where it was. So that was even more sort of scary.
It's mental. So, how did you
Yeah.
cope with telling your family and friends?
Oh, I don't think I did cope. I don't like you don't, do you? You're kind of forced
Mm.
to. I just felt like I was walking through this thick mud every day and I wasn't getting anywhere.
Mm.
Um, So obviously told my husband, telling my kids was hard. That was the worst, I think.
Yeah.
But I did it because my Pollyanna was 5 and Oliver was 11 at the time. So I told them in their age-related telling. I didn't tell
Yeah.
Pollyanna I did say cancer. I kind of said my boob's not well. I'm going to have it taken off because it's not well. And I told
Mm.
Oliver the truth because he was old enough. I didn't say, "Oh, it could kill me." I didn't say anything like that. I just kind of said, um, "I think he knew anyway. They're not silly, are they, children?" And I didn't want to
No,
hide
that's up and
anything.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was the hardest bit, and probably like you, I also felt like I was dragging them along in this awful blackness that I'd caused. I felt really
Mm.
guilty. Did
That is the
you?
thing. You do. I was speaking
Yeah,
to mum the other day, and she was saying she feels really guilty for what she's put her daughter through. And it was like, but you didn't ask for this.
yeah, I know. It's so weird that guilt because I
But
felt
yeah.
on my mum and dad as well because they were really stressed, and they're the kind of people that when they can't cope, they sort of just up it or goes away. And I
Mm.
felt really guilty. I felt so guilty. I was like, and then I looked at my family because obviously it affects everybody around you.
Yeah.
And that was hard because that guilt was, I didn't need that guilt. You don't need
No.
it, do you? You've got enough to
Yeah.
cope with.
Exactly.
But
You're trying
I
to
couldn't
focus
help.
on yourself,
Yeah,
and then you've got to
yeah.
be strong for everyone else.
But I felt really bad about that. And I think that's something that should be focused on with with people who are dealing with cancer is not to feel that guilt,
Yeah, absolutely.
because it is really hard not to. I spoke to a lot of people who feel the same, and I just don't know where that comes from, because you shouldn't have to feel like that.
No. I mean, I
And it's
remember
not,
like
yeah,
I remember telling because well, I went through it through COVID time, and I remember then having to do a video call to tell my mum and my brother, and I
oh,
started the call, and then I handed the phone to my husband because I was like, I just can't. But I felt like I'd let them down,
yeah, yeah,
and it was like it's not my fault.
no,
I've not done something bad in my life to
no,
warrant getting cancer, but you do. You just feel so guilty to everyone around you that you've then brought this thing into their lives as well.
yeah, yeah. Oh my God,
And
that is so,
yeah,
it's so true. Because you feel like, as well, you've ruined their little happiness life, because
yeah.
now they're in this awful place feeling bad for you.
Mm. And then it affects
Oh,
then the way
yeah,
then
I,
people talk to you as well.
yeah, that's a lot of the reason why I started doing the marathons, because I had the pity. I couldn't
Mm.
handle the pity. I couldn't handle that. And it was like, oh, and a few of my friends stayed away because they didn't know what to say. And it just felt really useless.
Yeah.
Like, and then I thought, no, I'm weak. I felt really weak, vulnerable. Um, and so the marathons were all about the opposite of that, the strength and the resilience and the determination. And then the stars on shore was challenging the whole pity. So
Mm.
that's kind of why I started doing it.
Yeah. No, I get that. I remember one of my friends crossing the road when she saw me, and it was like, I'm still me.
Oh,
Like,
no, it's because what to say.
yeah, yeah, they don't know what to say. And that's why like it's so good what we're doing because it's
Yeah,
helping people to know that, we need to normalize it.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so what treatment did you then have for the cancer?
So I had the mastectomy in June first with the cancerous breast, but they wouldn't take off the other one. They
Okay.
said no, because I wanted both off. I didn't want to be worried about the other one, and I didn't want one.
Mm,
Um, and I didn't want reconstruction because I didn't want to have any more surgery because it's quite invasive. I didn't want implants because of the worry of what, I just didn't want them. And I didn't want another operation to have the fat put in,
mm.
being flat. And then I had the second one in August, took off, when eventually they had to go back in on the side to get clearer margins because they just wanted to check it wasn't in the wall. And then I had radiotherapy. I didn't need chemotherapy because it wouldn't have worked with Lobular. And then I'm on the treatment for 5 years, and I've done 2.5. The
Okay.
tablets I take, they can cause symptoms in a lot of women. It's really very harsh menopause symptoms,
Right.
but I don't get them. Some women
Oh,
don't get them, and I put mine down to exercise.
see, that's the
I
thing.
think that
I have
really helps.
seen a lot recently about how exercise can help when you're going through treatment.
Yeah, and it's really underrated, I think. I mean, they're
Mm.
trying more, but I don't through radio without that. That would be better. Is where it's good.
Oh, you
Where
were you were breaking up there. I didn't hear
I know.
anything that you said.
Yeah,
Your Wi-Fi is going a bit funny.
is it all right now? It feels looks
Yeah, it's okay now.
better. So yeah, when I had both mastectomies and radiotherapy, I ran, and it healed better because of it.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Are you still there?
I'm still
Yeah.
here. Um, so how long can you hear that drilling in the background? So annoying.
Not really. It's really
So annoying. So how long did the aftermath effects
really,
of
it's really, really
oh, what'd you say?
oh,
Today is so
still,
hard.
really, really,
It's really glitchy.
yeah, glitchy. Is that better?
Say something.
Is that better? Or
Yeah,
is still
that's
doing?
better.
Okay.
Um, what did I say? Yeah, so how long did the aftermath effects of like I mean I know you're still going through treatment and you've got the treatment that could cause the early or the aggressive menopause symptoms, but is there any other than like aftermath effects?
Not now. To be honest, after mastectomy's healed really well, running, and I do all the exercises, I do strength training, so all my sort of feelings kind of back in my chest and heartish better. I ended in city. Excuse me, I kind of simply sort of, and I think I got some menopause better because I'm running anyway. So yeah, I say that I'm doing all right.
That's good. Do you think that's really sort of helped with the healing then, the exercise?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I think without it, would have got better as quick. I
Mm,
wouldn't have, the scars wouldn't have healed as good. I would have more symptoms with the tablets I take. The
mm.
exercise, it needs to be pushed more, I think, chest, because it's like medication.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. So what support have
Yeah.
did you have going through and after the the treatment that you've had for cancer?
So this what like from the NHS
From yeah, everywhere really.
everywhere. Yeah, I had like we have a hospital. We have like what's called the Fern Centre, and they do like the mindfulness afterwards, the well-being. They really helped, and I raise money for them now. I do a lot of charity work for the hospital.
Oh
Um,
no.
and yeah, so it kind of like that was really helpful. And it was more really just focusing on the running and the marathons that helped me with my mental health more, because it was kind of
Mm,
like having something to take my mind off and get stronger and things like that. Um, I think without it, I'd have struggled, definitely would have struggled.
yeah, no, definitely. And what would you say then that cancer has impacted the most? Like, and how has it changed you, sort of how you see yourself as a woman and as a mum, or if it has?
Looking back now, I think I've got quite a lot of positives from it. That sounds really weird, doesn't it?
No,
It
I'm
sounds
the
really weird,
same.
but it's
I'm the
true.
same.
It's true.
Yeah.
So it's given me gratitude. So I'm totally grateful for like the smallest thing. It's made me realise that you literally have to live for now. So I do everything now. I never go planning anything anymore. Like I used to live in the future, and I
Yeah.
think that's what caused anxiety. But now I
Mm,
don't. I'm literally living for the now. That's an amazing lesson. And I think it's made me a better mum because because of the way that I live in the now. I'm more sort of in the sense able to be a better mother to my kids rather than stressing about the future with them.
yeah.
So I'm like living their magic. That
Mm,
it's really weird, but I don't act childish, but I understand that the childlike element is where
yeah.
you should be living. You should be living
Yeah,
because if
life is
you
too
are,
serious.
it's so serious. And
Yeah.
I just like do all these like magical things out, and I learned that from my kids. And also because of what happened to me, I don't care about judgment, so that makes it
Mm,
even more freeing because you're like, don't really care what you think, and then you're
yeah.
like, when I was before I got cancer, right, I hadn't laughed properly, like belly laugh, like you do when you're a kid,
Mm,
for about 5 years. I remember
yeah.
thinking, oh, God, I don't laugh anymore because I was so stressed with life. And I'm for 2 years, I haven't stopped laughing.
And that's really sad.
Isn't it? Isn't that
Mm,
sad? And I just was trying to fit into this world of what I now look at, like social norms, the way
Mm.
you've got to act. And then I realised that had turned me into this person. And then when I looked at my kids before they went to school, I realised the magic was there. And then the school makes them conform and they lose that. Then I realised what happens was all. So now I went back to where I was when I was that way. And without worrying about judgment, you become that person again like you should have been. And life's fun again.
Yeah, and that's what it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't understand. Well, I do understand people get there because I get. But yeah, I think that's something that we push more of, especially like in school. Like my kids are ADHD and I am, and schools just do not get it.
No, no. I was speaking to somebody who she lives in Australia, and she was saying about homeschooling her children, but she was saying they're going to go around traveling and they're going to be homeschooling their kids as they're traveling. And I was like, what an education your children are going to get.
Yeah,
Like,
and
that is
and the memories
amazing.
and the memories that they'll make,
Yeah. And the life
the
skills that
memories
they're going
that
to learn.
yeah, yeah. And I think I was going to put a motorhome, and we're going to do traveling and stuff.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's what I think. That's what you need to do. Life, yeah, life's just too serious, and it's like we only get one. Like, do you want to really
Yeah,
look back and like have tons of regrets?
just think,
Oh, you broke up.
oh, when you get, can I think, oh, am I there? Are you there?
I'm here. Yeah, I didn't hear what you said there.
Yeah. So yeah, when you get told, it makes you realise, doesn't it, what you're going to regret. So
Yeah,
I'd make sure that I'm not going to do anything and I just do everything. I'm always
absolutely.
saying yes to everything.
Yeah.
Whereas before I said no to everything.
Mm. And look at the difference of your lives now.
I know. I mean, I literally said no to everything and ended up being isolated
Mm.
and stuck in these four walls, trying to keep safe, trying to like live and keep safe, and you can't keep. There's no safe, is there?
No, no,
So you just have to
absolutely.
live like you're not safe because you're not, but at least
Mm.
live.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. You're then actually living. You're not
Yeah,
coasting. So, if
yeah.
somebody who is listening and they're listening and then in the thick of their cancer battle, what piece of advice would you give them?
So my advice would be I I could only live in that minute when I was in the thick of it. Everything was like overwhelming. So I couldn't think past what was right there in that moment. So I'd go outside and I'd look at a flower, really simple things,
Mm,
like mindfulness, and I'd look at this flower and then I'd just look at the if a bee came to them, and it was kind of like that mindfulness of not thinking about the next 5 minutes, the next 10 minutes, what's going to happen tomorrow, because that made me really overwhelmed. It was too
yeah.
much. So it was kind of like just really bringing it right down to the fact that you were breathing and you could breathe.
Mm,
And that was in the thick of it. That was when I could not cope. I couldn't cope with people. I locked my room and I did a lot of mindfulness, which really helped. But yeah, that was when it wasn't. And I also read a book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle,
oh, okay.
and that is a really good book about being in that moment,
What was
and
that
that
called?
really
The
helped as
Power of
well.
Now.
Power of Now, so like now, N-O-W, and it's by Eckhart, which is Eckhart. He's a really famous philosopher,
Is he
German
even?
philosopher. So he,
Oh, I think I might have seen like a clip of him on like an Oprah Winfrey show or something.
yeah. He's really,
Yeah, him.
It's pretty well
Okay.
known, but that is a really good book for anybody who's going through something really, not just cancer, anything that's hard. That's a really good book to read because it really brings you back to what's really what it's kind of about, and it was about the energy that you've got rather than this being you. It was
Mm,
about it was about connecting with my energy, which really reassured me when I was at my worst. In a bigger picture than you as an individual, being connected to the energy in the universe, that
mm,
reassured me. Rather than just, oh, it's me and I'm going to die. It was kind of like, well, I'm part of something bigger than me,
mm.
and that helped a lot. That helped
Yeah.
more than my
Oh,
family
okay.
because my family is like emotional, isn't it? And you're a bit like you're taking on their emotions, and that's hard.
Hmm.
So it was about I had to be about me. Sounds
Yeah.
selfish, but you're going through it, aren't you? So you have
Yeah,
to be
you have
about
to.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with
Yeah.
that. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And I'm so sorry that we couldn't get the beginning done
I
properly,
know,
but we
honestly.
got there in the end.
Hopefully, when I then share this to your page, we'll see then like both of us, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Yes, definitely.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I know you've got a busy day today. But yeah, thank you for telling your story and for
No,
doing what you're
thank you,
doing.
thank you as well for what you do. It's really important. And you're doing
Thank
amazing,
you.
honest.
Thank you. Right, have a lovely, lovely day. And
And you.
yeah, see you later.
See you later, Sharon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.